Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Club. I am your host, Favor Obasi Ike, and I am going to be helping you understand how to get discovered using search engine optimization for local businesses. So, in today's room, we are going to have a very interesting conversation which should be able to help you demystify, also pre qualify how you start things, how you determine things, how you make things happen. What do you do with those things, right? So, those things that we're going to be talking about today are going to be discovered in this room. And these are the things that we're going to talk about today as far as SEO and local businesses are concerned. So if you're here and you're listening, please stay tuned because we're going to have a good topic and we're going to dive a little deeper, more than we did yesterday. So I'm excited for that. Empress is in the building. Hey Empress, good morning. How are you? Hope you're okay. Thanks for joining today. Thanks for being here. Been a while. How are you?
Morning. Good. How are
I'm
you?
good. I'm good. You on the move?
Yes, I'm in the car. Just dropped off my kids at camp,
Ooh, that's fun.
so I feel a lot better now.
That's good. That's good. How have you been? How's everything been? The month, the year, the quarter? Like, just catch me up. It's been a while.
Doing good. July here is usually pretty quiet because everyone gets the first week of July off, and then everyone's figuring things out from there. And then usually in Q4, we're ramping things. We're actually going nuts and crazy because Q3 is usually the start of the year for us, which is weird. Like July is the start of the year for us, so it's really just getting things up and running. And next quarter will be balls to the wall.
It's interesting you said that too, because there are companies that we've worked with too that their January is in October, your January is in July, and some people's January is in January. That's interesting.
I don't know. I think it's weird. Let's just use a calendar.
Right. It's like daylight savings. I tried to keep changing things in between, but it's cool. I'm glad that, there's always a system. I'm sure there's a reason for it, an underlying reason. But this has been definitely good. It's good that we can catch up. What's up, David? Welcome to the room. And I see you all as well in the building. Welcome to the space. Hey, David. You two on the move too.
Yeah, I'm just on my way to drop off my son. That's the beauty about listening to Clubhouse. You can be listening and driving, without keeping your hands off the wheel. So this is always a great thing listening to you and just learning something new every day. Appreciate you a lot, Favor. I'm glad to be here. Back to you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you. I'm glad you guys are here. And I'm happy that we're going to talk about this. Yesterday we talked about SEO for brands, and it was a really hot topic. So I said, okay, today we're going to, go a little deeper into the layers and talk also about, SEO for local businesses, whether you are brick and mortar or you are, you know, online only. These are the places that you would need to be when it comes to SEO and a local business. So I'm excited. Now, please share the room, guys. Share it with your connections. Share with people. We'll be here to 9 a.m. Central, and then from there we'll be out of here. We'll be out of your way. But between now and then, please make sure that you are here listening and you're grabbing information, you're learning, and you're taking something home. Because the last thing I want you to do is be here and not gain information or gain understanding. Because as a local business, especially when you think about your businesses that you're building, these are opportunities for you to grow, and these are opportunities for you to actually learn more about yourself. When I say about yourself, I mean like how do you learn how you show up for the people that you show up for? And this is where you have to think about long-term planning. And that long-term planning is when you think about your local business. So how to get discovered is the question of the day, right? The first thing I'll say is if you want to get discovered online as a local business, this is something that you should really think about when I'm about to say this. As a local business, and I'm going to divide it into two. If you're a brick and mortar business, if you have a physical location, the number one thing, welcome Cindy and Kagito, the number one thing that you have to do as a local business is to explicitly, and I'll say it again, explicitly write your address, your physical address, write it down, make it plain, make it clear, and place it at the footer of your website. Welcome, Miss Andrea. At the footer of your website. It means you must have a website for this to happen, right? Because when you have a website, you have presence. Empress, why are you laughing? It's true.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking about SEO. I almost feel like that's implied that you need to have a website.
It's so true. Because I think most people kind of skip this part because they're like, oh, yeah, we don't need a business. We're local. Yeah, you're local, but no one knows you locally, right? And you need to be localized to become internationalized, if I can put it like that. Because before somebody is seeing you, they have to know you're in a local place. If I know that the Dubai Mall is located in Dubai, then I know they're located in that location because they're local, but it's an international location because I can search for it from here, from the US, right? So don't think, okay, I'm local and I'll just stay local, right? You have to think about what are you showing up on. If those malls didn't have websites, do you think they'll still have that long-standing value? Do you think they would still have that presence? Do you still think they would feel like, oh yeah, we're outside, we're here, we're connected? It may not have that direct feeling, right? Because you need that website to show forth. If you're going to Phipps Plaza, there's a website. If you're going to even buy a Coca-Cola, there's a website. If you're going to Walmart, there's a website. If you're going to CVS, there's a website. If you're going to Nike, there's a website. If you're going anywhere, just name it, the car you drive, there's a building, there's a location, right? So why don't you have your location on the same direction that everybody else is on? That's the question. Because as a local business, don't just sit back and say, yeah, we're local and we're just going to sit there. You have to think about your business from the ground up. That is from the foundation up, to the point where someone can see your lamppost, see your signpost, see your heading, your banner. Before that even happens, that's the icing on the cake. The foundation needs to be made, right? Because when you have a local business, you have an address. That address has a community, and that community has a need. So if you're coming to fulfill a need or satisfy a need that is fulfilled within that community, let's say you have a gas station or you have a beauty supply or you have something that is going to benefit the community, your being there is because you know that there are people who are there. You don't build a gas station when there are no people around, right? What's the essence? So when you're building SEO for local businesses and how to get discovered, that address needs to be there. Why? Because anytime you create another page after that home page, you're referring back to that home page. You're referring back to that contact page. You're referring back to that location page. So if you're located in XYZ, then anything you're talking about should be within that area. First, cover your area, right? If you're in the I'm in the Houston area, right? So if I'm in the Houston area, then there are things I should be talking about that pertain to the city, right? Links that at least have the tag on it. Even if it's not explicitly said, there needs to be some type of relationship built, right? So that way you can see the value of growing that business right from scratch, into the building and into all those connections that you're creating. In said, welcome, Kyoko. Thank you for being here. If I code the structured data, local business in one page, will it affect national SEO on other pages that I sell online all over the country? Great question. Great question. So, welcome, Pierre, too. The code structure and the data that you have as local business on that page is going to stick on that page, and it's going to be for that page, right? So, that page in itself is not just for the local, it's also for the global view, right? So it's not going to affect national SEO if you're thinking about it that way. What it's going to do is it's going to enhance your brand and actually put you within a location. So if you're located somewhere and people want, let's say you have a flowery shop, like let's say you're a florist and you sell flowers. Now, because you have that flower shop locally, right? People can see that shop from a local standpoint. I may not see it because I'm far away. You might be in New York, you might be in Oregon, you might be in, Hawaii. I may not see that, right? But the person that's close to you will see that. But how I will see you is when I now see your blog post about a topic that I'm searching for that doesn't require location. So if you are located in that place and you're talking about businesses or information or community news, marketing news, product news, whatever news, that information that you're creating in terms of a blog is what I can also consume, because everything you see on the web, on Google search, all those links you see on the web, they're all from different locations. They're all from different places. If you type in how to do a social media strategy, how to create email marketing templates, whatever it is you're typing on Google, all the results you see there are coming from individual, unique locations. So they're not all from the same street. They're not all from the same district. They might be from different cities, but they're not, you know, together. So if you have that structured data, you have that schema, it's marked up, people know exactly who you are, your location, the NAP, name, address, phone number, and it's consistent across social media platforms, your LinkedIn company page, your Facebook page, your Instagram business page, your TikTok business page. Even when you have a TikTok business page, they ask you for those details. You're going to have to put an address. So those addresses you're placing in different locations, Chamber of Commerce, Better Business Bureau, the list goes on and on. Those places are going to have the same address. So when you have corresponding addresses that show up in different places, then that's when you're able to really get that attention out there. So that when people say, hey, I'm looking for this, then you have a website and you sell those things, then they don't have to locally come to you because they can internationally access you through the web. So there's a structure to that. But I'm glad that that answered the question. I saw the thumbs up. So that was a really good question for sure. Miss Andrea, we'd love to hear from you. Good morning. How are you? Afternoon for you, by the way.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you? Greetings to the room. Yeah, I'm just listening. I heard website, so I'm thinking, okay, I've got a website for WordPress, so let me listen because I don't really know how to drive it, to people organically, like different people, strangers, and so forth. So right now, I'm doing the manual work, sending it physically to people. Hey, I've got a website, subscribe, and all of that stuff. But how do I get searched and recognized organically, basically?
Great question. The fundamental part to any discovery online is through connecting to a search engine. That's the base. If you haven't connected your website to a search engine, it's like you have the car but you don't have the ignition. So you have the car, it's built, it's beautiful, it's looking good, people can see it from afar, it's a website, you can walk in, you can walk out, you can drive, you can leave, but it's not it's not connected to a source that can actually be seen outside your garage or outside your drive-through, your driveway. So when you're looking at the bigger scope, especially as a business, whether local, international, global, your website will need to be connected to the search console. So whenever you go to Google, you type in Google Search Console, you're going to see a section that says Google Search Console About or Tools. So you click on Google Search Tools and then you click Start Now. When you hit start now, it's going to ask you to add a property, and that property is your domain. And then when you add your domain to the property, then you get activated on Google. It doesn't stop there. Now you need to submit your sitemap, because a sitemap is the brain of your website. So for you, Miss Andrea, it would be your website.com/sitemap, SITEMAP .xml. Some people have underscore index. Some people have some different, parameters based on the website they build, but that's the default. So once you have that URL, you'll paste that URL into the sitemap submission section of the Google Search Console dashboard. Then when you submit your sitemap, that's one step in the door. Because what's going to happen now is within a 24 to 48 hour period, if you've been writing articles, if you've been building pages, if you have content, if you have videos, if you have photos, if you just have a fully built website, but it wasn't connected, now the things that are connecting you to Google are the information pieces that you have. So the blogs that are actually doing well, the popular ones, they're all coming out. So that's how people can start finding you. And if they want to learn about topics that you talk about, then you're answering questions that people are already asking. And then they can now find your content because it's now connected. Then you can go to Bing Webmasters, import your Google Search Console data into the Bing property, and now you're also accessible on Microsoft Bing. And Microsoft Bing have an AI search engine called you.com. So you end up in those sections, day by day as you go. So I think to be seen online first is to have access to the search console. Then from the console, it's like a pilot. Once you're able to get to the dashboard or the cockpit, you can now drive the boat. You can drive the plane. You can fly the plane. You can fly the train. Whatever, however you want to do it, right? You can create that picture because you have created a quality assurance that, okay, we're on this path and this is where we're going and this is who's going to find us because we're located on this web. So that's how to get discovered, at least from a first standpoint. So that section for the console, have you connected that?
You know what? I was writing down what you were saying, so I haven't even done it. So I'm gonna do it now and see if I get stuck, and then possibly ask you some questions. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna try and do that now, with everything that I've written down and see if I understood what you said, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna go on mute and follow your instructions.
I'm glad that you're going to do that. Please let me know if you have any issues or, fall into anything. I would love to help you on that too. So definitely love that. Isam, I see your question and also in as well. Before I come to you, wanted to say hi to you, Pierre. Good morning. How are you? Would love to hear your thoughts on the
Hey, good
topic.
morning, Favor. Glad to be here. Glad to be able to join in a little bit. Great breakdown. One thing I will also add a little bit as well too. I mean, I think I love your breakdown because I think it there are a lot of ways to be online. I just think the biggest thing that I think the takeaway that you should have if you're a small business owner is to really, have a good, try to organize as much as possible. And I like the fact that you highlight Search Console. Search Console, you can still be searched online technically, but what Search Console does that's a little bit different is that it makes a connection to index your pages. So if you are really into content, if you are trying to be the next baby Huffington Post, or if you have a lot of blog pages, it's a terrific way of getting indexed. It's a terrific way of signaling to the search engine to index those pages. And those things are becoming much more important as if you treat them as content pillars, where you are talking about certain subjects around your business or around your service, your products and services, is a great way of drawing people in. And you'll hear Google quite a bit just because it's still the largest search engine. out there, despite all the stuff with AI and everything else. It's still pretty much a default. And quite frankly, if you are working with other businesses, when it comes to technology adoption, there's this little bit of a slowness to it. I would to characterize it, where yeah, something is out there, but people are not adopting very quickly. So you have a chance, I think, right now, for anyone's in the room. This September is always a good time to review your content anyway, but particularly now is a really good time to review where you are within the Search Console and make adjustments. That could be things ranging from checking to see what pages are not being indexed. That's a big deal. That can take away how you get discovered. To even just topic switches, things that that you haven't covered yet, trying to figure out, maybe there might be some other things you can cover. So I like the fact you hone in on that. Search Console, just real quick, was originally called a webmaster's tool. Every browser has a variation of that tool. So I love the fact that you mentioned about Google and then also mentioned about Bing favor, because each company that offers a browser usually has a tool called Webmasters, and Google got a little smarter and called it Search Console, they want people to kind of understand that, don't get too much into the weeds with the website. Focus more on the content and seeing where your website is performing, and they kind of made that switch. I thought was a smart deal years ago. So I'll say that and land here to let others join in to speak.
I love that. Thank you, Pierre. Yeah, it goes back to the beginning. All these webmaster platforms, they're all directories. Yellow Pages is a directory. Those are platforms you got to be on if you have a local business. But we wanted to be on Yellow Pages so bad back then, but not so much now because we don't think it exists. But digitally, they still have authority. And if you're on their Yellow Pages directory as a local business, then the categories of the businesses and industries you provide, that is a great thing for you as a business to be seen on those platforms, because what happens is that you get that certified trust badge. It's now part of your business, and you can also highlight it on your at your footer of the website. Oh, we're on all these platforms. When people see those logos, they're like, wow, you're already connecting with brands. Oh, we're on Siri, we're on Brown Book, we're on Chamber of Commerce, we're on BBB, we're on Yelp, we're on Yandex, we're on Yext, we're on Yahoo, we're on Yellow Pages. Like this sounds like a lot, but all of them together creates a powerhouse for you. That's why these malls, the airports, the restaurants, hotels, they are all on those platforms because they're established. So for you to establish yourself to as a business, you have to think about those things and how you're also building them into practice. So that's a great point as well. Welcome, America's Supermom. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. I am here as a student, okay, because I am taking it all in, okay, all the things you're saying. Definitely not my strong suit about knowing all this information about SEO. So I'm here to be a sponge and learn. So thanks so much for having me today.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Definitely, I'm excited that we're here to discuss this at length. And for those who have any questions, please feel free to follow me here, connect to me on LinkedIn. If you want to get emails exclusively to learn about some things with SEO, podcast, digital marketing, the link above, please click it and you can subscribe to the podcast show. Leave your first name and email. And once you opt in, you will get an email to kick off and you'll be able to get access to all the information that we have available outside the app. So please stay tuned, stay connected so that you don't miss out on these things. So thanks for being here. And Isam, I wanted to also say to you, happy club house anniversary. So I see you got the balloon on. So just wanted to plunge that for you. And you have a question. If I am a perfume retailer brand, okay, I love this. Okay, I love perfumes. You're welcome. And I am launching new brands on my website. Okay, I'm so excited about the answer I'm really going to give you for the Egyptian market. Okay, what are the steps that should be considered? All right. This is good. This is an international question. So, if you're a perfume retailer brand, the perfumes that you are selling on your website need to be explicitly said within the URL, which is a uniform resource locator. If you're selling Tom Ford, if you're selling Davidoff, if you're selling, name the whatever brand it is, right? That brand, that perfume, right? If it's Fenty, whatever you're trying to build, right? Whether it's for male, for female, for unisex, whatever you're trying to create it for, those brands should be within your sitemap. And I love that in you're building a sitemap. I'll come to your question on that sitemap. It's a perfect segue for those two questions. Because when you're building a sitemap, your sitemap is where the brain of your website lays, right? If you have a brain, your brain contains information, right? That information, you're either acquiring new information or retaining old information, right? So there's always a pattern between the two. So if you're going to acquire new information, that information has to be acquired through some type of medium, whether it's through text, you're reading it, through audio, you're hearing it like Clubhouse, through video, you're watching it and hearing it, right? So if you have a retail store and it's a perfume store on your website, all the brands that you are representing should be on your website. Why? Because if someone is in Egypt locally on their mobile phone looking for a mall or looking for a store, a perfume store, that they're looking for this specific product, you should have the top 10 best male men's cologne, to wear in Egypt in 2024 or 2025, right? And you're putting that on your website and you're highlighting the top 10 perfumes. What you're doing essentially is you're creating awareness for your brand that you have these brands. If I know you have a perfume store, but I don't know what you're selling. So now there's a there's a block. So I don't know what you're selling. I like perfume, but I don't know what to buy from you because I don't know what you're selling. But now when you tell me, hey, do you want to shop by style? Do you want spicy? Do you want mild? Do you want, however the sense want to be? Like, I'm just giving like really random examples, right? Anytime you show up online and you're giving people categories, specificities, giving people accurate information, doing articles commercially, learning them about how you do things. If you have a product guide, if you have a business guide, if you have anything that's going to help that business thrive, your business has to take that next step whereby you are creating pages on your website that talk about the brands that you show up on or you show up with. So that way, if you're talking about the top 10 this and that, let's say you have top 10 men's cologne and then you have top 10 women's perfume, right? Out of those top 10, that's a pillar page. A pillar page means that there are layers on layers and layers. Now, a cluster page is now like, okay, we now can talk about this pillar because we're addressing this one topic. But now here are different clusters that are going to add up to this pillar. So if you have 10 listings on your one page, I would create an additional 10 pages to support the one page to explicitly talk about the one perfume or the one cologne that you're representing. And then you're sending them to that commercial page to learn more, or you're sending them to the product page to buy more. So when you do that consistently as a business, then within your city, okay, in Egypt, these are the top cities, the top areas that people, frequent. So you're able to know, okay, this is what everybody wears in Egypt. This is what everyone wears in this season. Then you pick that information and say the best alternative to this is this. So when you do that consistently on your website, that builds into your sitemap, which even leads into In's questions. Is it necessary for everyone to have a sitemap? Yes. I only have 150 pages on my website, but I'm creating more. 150 pages is good because a sitemap is where content lays. If you look at Forbes.com, CNN.com, their sitemaps are open. Everybody's sitemap is public, right? Apart from companies that maybe the social media platforms, it may be a little tricky because they're more so of an engine rather than a website, if that makes sense. So if you just look at a normal website, go to Forbes.com, see their sitemap, go to Bloomberg report, go see their sitemap. You'll realize that their sitemaps have over 1,000 pages. So there's this thing where you have one page 100 pages, 1,000 pages. When you hit 1,000 pages, you're off to the races. When you have between 100 to 500 pages, you're in a good zone, right? That's why I always tell people that have podcasts, create a podcast with a website so that anytime you have a new episode, you create a new page automatically. So for us, we have 400 episodes. That's 400 pages. So when you have pages on pages on pages, those pages are intertwined because you're relinking people just in between those pages, right? So that will allow you to get that stance. And then not only are you using the perfume store on your website, you have a company profile on LinkedIn, right? You have a company profile talking about a perfume store. You might ask, why am I on LinkedIn? You never know. Businesses might want to work with you. Businesses might want to collaborate with you. You might be the best competitive price in the market. So just having those things allow someone to search for you. You have an article, you have a newsletter, you have a community, you have an email list you're building, and you have a store that you have. That way people can find you and can build with you as well. So you have to make sure that your website has those things. And how you know you have those things is if I go to your website.com slash, and in between that slash, that URL has the name of a brand. Because yesterday we talked about branded versus non-branded content. If you have branded URLs, then that's one step in the door. Then you send it out to an email, you put it out on Reddit, you put it out on Pinterest. You're just opening and extending your arms to people who can find you because you have accessibility to the information they are actually searching for. So that's how you can easily get those numbers out. It's not just, oh, I just got to fix a URL. Oh, that's it. No, you fix a URL, but on top of the fixing, you're sharing, right? It's not, I mean, you can build a house, but you not have to sell the house, or you need to get someone to buy the house, right? Or you got to get someone to occupy the house. Or if it's a house for Airbnb, you have to find people to live in the house. So at any point in time, yes, the house is built. Yes, the airport is built. Yes, the hotel is built, but people got to come in. So when people are coming in, they're coming in with an expectation of what you've shown them before they walked into the door. So that is how you are able to build that presence, and then look at the top locations in your city and actually highlight them. Sometimes we're afraid to highlight, or say, oh yeah, we also associate with this brand. It's just good, right? Because when you associate with brands, it's different. When you watch tennis, right, and you see Rolex there, and Rolex is now partnering up with Kia, or you're watching a basketball game, you're seeing Kia and the mission, and you're seeing a whole other brand. It's because those brands there's a non-compete, there's no conflict of interest, but at the same time they're complementing each other. So as a business, you also have to think about what other businesses can complement your business that supplement what you're already doing. So that way you're not just creating content for content's sake, but you're also adding value to people's timeline, and you're also creating fresh content through. So yeah, I would love to know about your perfumes, what you have. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me before the end of this room. I will put my link so that I'll actually put it in the chat, because a lot of people probably leave the room. So I'll put the link in the chat, but I'm not going to put it at the top of the room till the end, because I want people to really, connect as well. So this is definitely a great room. Favor, how do I start? Do I have to start with offline store promotions first? Okay, offline store promotions first. Good question. Huh. I'm about to say something, but I don't know if I should say it. You know what? Let me ask Pierre. What do you think? let me
Repeat the
just.
repeat the question again, favors, that way I can hear it one more
E-
time.
SM is asking, do I have to start with offline store promotions first? And I think it's asking before online.
Um, that's a good question, and like most questions, there's always like it depends. The concern would be if you're off. I think what you want to do is if you're offline, you want to think about what if you're really like starting from dead start, basically. It takes a while for people to actually purchase something, no matter how enthusiastic you are. And the same thing can happen online as well too. The best is really figuring out how to do those things concurrently. But if you don't, if you're just like time strapped, you just don't have enough time to kind of get your online content together, which is I know that kind of sounds odd. or maybe there's some things you're still trying to pull together for a website, that type of thing. Your offline material can be helpful if you are taking pictures. If you have video, I think that's much better between the two. I'll explain that in a second. Um, if you're taking pictures of how you are engaging with a customer, it might be offline at let's say you have a booth at an event. Having some taking notes of how you engage with your customers, taking notes of and getting some sales off of that and some potential can be very helpful for you later on, because then what you're doing is you're kind of getting material for your website blog, as well as maybe images that you can turn around and share on social media that can complement your presence online. So like Pinterest, you can have pictures on a Pinterest card. You can have pictures shown through X or Instagram, or Threads, which any of those three, those things do pick up. On your social media presence, if you have a branded site or if you have a branded keyword. YouTube, if you have video or short videos, you can put something quickly together and have that as a YouTube short, or have a series of YouTube shorts and as a YouTube video. Um, the reason why also I mentioned about video, I'll share this just a little bit, is that you can technically extract an image from a video. So if you have, I've done this before, frankly, I've recorded things and then went to software editing, video editing software like Camtasia to extract images or moments. And I've done that. That's given me a number of pictures I was able to turn around and use for blog posts and for website content as well. So there's a couple. So the short answer is, if you think that your offline presence is going to be part of maybe of a conference, maybe of an expo, maybe of an event that really is part of your kickoff, you can kind of start there and use some of that material for your website content. But keep in mind, I would say the big asterisk is keep in mind that your follow up has to be relatively quick. Not news. Ideally, quick would be something like, let's say within a few days after you have the event. If you're coming back maybe 2 or 3 months down the line, that might be a little bit of a stretch. It's not a killer, but it becomes this sort of you might have to issue it at that moment as sort of like a filler piece or some sort of re-engagement piece, which means your content would have their descriptions and things that you're talking about might have to be a little different. But I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you so much for that insight. I'm glad I asked you first because I wanted to just, hear it from someone else and just know what scope or what position could that take you. Because I had a very similar experience to that, choosing whether it's online or offline. And I did this for a company. They sell, loungewear, sleepwear, for families, like really good silk material. It's really nice satin material too. So it's really good, and they were trying to get themselves out there in the stores. So, and they're in Maryland, in the DMV area. So, huh, this story is going to help you for sure. My goal was to get people that were foot trafficking the mall. Right, foot trafficking sounds bad. People who are walking in the mall, right? People who are walking the mall, get their attention, and then offline tell them to come online. So why I'm saying this is, before you do any offline promotion, have something online, because we're living in an online society, an online digital platform. If I talk to you for 5 minutes and I love your brand, the next question I'm going to ask you is, what's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? What's your TikTok? What's your website? Are you online? And if that answer is crickets, then you've wasted 5 minutes of your time you're not getting back. So what I did and how I worked with the company is, we decided, okay, if we want to meet these people, we have to create an email workflow, because email has to be part of your system if you're doing an offline promotion, because they don't know you. So how are they going to stay connected if they don't know what you're doing? So what we did is we created QR codes, and in those QR codes, we we made sure that in those QR codes, when people scan them, they're able to choose, what do you like, sleepwear, loungewear, what type of wear do you like? Then they leave their contact information and they go about their day. For me, I've acquired two things: data and contacts. Why data? Because I know where they're pinging from, because their phones are pinging from a source. So even though they're in the mall, their IP address may not be the mall. It might be their home address. It might be their commercial address. It might be their zip code or the area they're in, right? So that way you're also able to just pinpoint, because they may scan that code now if they can, but it's something that they were able to go away with. So we created cards, like business cards, but in those business cards, they were actually like promotional flashcards. So in those flashcards, you can scan the code or you can just go directly to the website. But most people like to scan. So they scan on the fly, they leave their contact information, and then they now come back to the website. So what we did was it was like a raffle. So we said, hey, just sign up if you want, if you're going to win, this raffle, make sure that you're here, have all your contact information, and you can get information about what we do. And if you're interested, you can also buy from us too. So we did that for a whole weekend, and we're able to get about, I think it was close to about 100 contacts. And think about the number of people that you have to talk to. And not everyone you talk to is going to leave their contact either. So it's also like hard work. So the people who were there, they were able to manage everything. They went around the mall. But the whole point of that offline activity was so that we can attract online activity. So if you're going to do this, you have to think about the long-term plan. And if your goal is to create a buzz, a biz marketing strategy, yeah, if you're trying to create a marketing strategy from scratch, yeah, what Pierre said is 100% true. You have to establish your brand. What is the name of your brand? Can people see your name? Because you can have an idea, everyone has an idea, but to execute that idea and have somebody else tell the other person about the idea you have without you being interruptive is a big thing. So you have to think about what you're showing up for and why you're showing up. So that was a great question. And Hidden said you can also utilize things like geofencing. Yes. Think out of the box a bit. Also doing things like starting a little scholarship. Uh-huh. Exactly. Having workshops like that, it has to bring in that value over time. There's something called a front end offer. And I'm going to be talking about that sometime in September: front end offers versus back end offers. Because when you are offering something, it's either for free or it's at a price, right? It's still, even if it's free, somebody paid the price somehow. So with their time, with their energy, something was paid for. So when you think about how you are showing up online and who you're showing up for, then your business gets discovered when you actually connect with more people that can actually see you from places that they can actually search from. So if I'm using TikTok to look for restaurants and I'm not there, then I'm missing out on community. If I'm not on Reddit and I'm not there in that subreddit talking about those things, I'm not there. If I'm not on LinkedIn and I'm not supplying, I'm not connecting, I'm not there, that's not good, right? So you have to think about, what are you doing on these platforms daily that's getting you discovered? Because it's one thing to just show up and say, oh yeah, we're listed in all these places. Then it's another thing to be listed and now to maintain it. You know how they say it's easy to make money, but it's hard to maintain it. It's how you keep, it's what you keep, not what you make, right? So apply that same concept in the traffic you're getting for your business, because SEO for local businesses simply means, I'm in this state, I'm in this city, I need to be on this local listing address, I need to be connected to these directories. Once I'm connected, now anything I say can point back to that location. So it makes it easier for people to communicate at a point. So I know, okay, if this person is speaking from here, they have a location next door that I can connect with. So when people are looking for gifts, they're looking for beauty products, they're looking for hair products, they're looking for food, they're looking for something that is, within their need for the day, they can find you accessible, because people find new products every single day, including yours. So if you're not on that spot, somebody else is. Somebody else is. And that could be a competitor. So if you want to be there to be discovered, you have to show up consistently. So that consistency is really important to look through. And Hidden is right too. Make as many touch points as possible. Implementation of Google tags and Facebook pixels, meta pixels. It's easy to retarget. You know, exactly. Just easy tripwire foreigners where you can give them something in exchange. Exactly. And let them leave their contact information. That is true. The more you're able to let people leave their contact information with you in exchange for something that they can get for free, it already shows that you have something to offer. If I come to your website and I don't see a place to leave my contact information, it means I don't have anything to do with your business, because I'm not going to go to the checkout page if I can't even opt in from the first page, right? Like there has to be some type of resemblance. When you know when you walk into a store, hello, welcome, good morning. Sometimes you don't even say good morning back. Some people don't say it. I say it. I'm like, hey, because probably somebody hasn't heard good morning today, right? You say it because you're just a light. You're just a beacon of light. You're just giving people yourself, right? Because you're that person that actually cares for people, right? So when they say good morning and you say good morning back, that's great. You feel better, right? Because you feel like somebody recognized you, right? Some people don't even feel recognized a whole year, not even on their birthday. So when you think about life in its fulfillment, in its full capacity, and you have a business that can actually give somebody that happiness, that sentimental value, that feeling of excitement when they think about what you sell or what you offer, even if they're not going to buy it today or tomorrow, because they're around shows that there's an interest. They might tell their friend, they might tell their partner, they might tell the next person that they're connected to. So don't treat people like, oh, I'm local, I'm just going to do this for myself. No, you have to think about the long-term effect. If somebody flies in and they're looking for a place to go to, is it going to be yours? Is it going to be your competitors? That has to be a really good thing to look out for. Yes, now says landing pages, sign up forms, quick surveys. Exactly. Those are things to really give people insights, because that's how you're able to pre-qualify them, right? You might have 100,000 subscribers, but out of them, maybe 10% of the ones that are really serious, right? So you have to think about that compound value, that number. How do people connect with you, right? When you send an email, are you sending an email just for them to buy? Or are you sending an email so they can know more about you? The more they can know about you, the more you don't have to explain yourself, if that makes sense. The more they know about you, the more you don't have to explain yourself, because you've already explained yourself online, where you have frequently asked questions, you have articles, you have topics, you've covered informational pieces, you've added value, and now you're international, because people are searching from, they're not searching for this in Taiwan. Like people don't search like that. People search for, I'm looking for rice, I'm looking for oil, I'm looking for beans. Like people will search for things that will make their day fulfilled. So if you're in the fulfillment of their day, then what you say online matters, because how they respond is based on how you gave that response system. It's up to you. It's 100% up to you. So those are some things you have to think about, because people who sign up for free may not pay anything. But if they pay something, then they actually value your time. And it also doesn't mean that if they don't pay for something, they don't value your time. It's just maybe it's not the right time for them. But the fact that they're there is enough to show that they actually appreciate the time you share with them, or they even share with you, because they could unsubscribe, right? It's first party data. You can leave, right? But they don't, because they value what you're saying, right? So if you can give 9 and ask once in a 10 email cycle, give 9 times. In other words, tell them about your business. Say, hey, we got featured here. Hey, these are our reviews. Here's a case study. Did you know this? Da, 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 da. Before you know it, you've flooded them with so much information, they forgot that you even sell. And then you say something like, oh, wow, there's something that's actually you're selling. Okay, I would love to be interested in that. That's how we want to see it. Miss Andrea, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead.
So I've got a question, and I realized that it's not like chatter. You can raise your hands and say, "Hey, I've got a question." Um, basically, okay, so I'm actually watching a tutorial how to add my domain and my link to Google Console. But the guy here, he said, "Don't put nothing on domain." Well, I don't know if he said don't put nothing on domain, but he's saying put your URL on the URL prefix to add there. But my domain is my URL, right? Have I not? Can I not use both? Or because when I'm looking at your notes, it's like you said, put your domain, put on the. So yeah, I just want to ask that.
Great question. I love this. Okay, I'm gonna break it down. So there's URL and there's domain. So a domain is the name of your website. It's the naming convention that you create. So your website, if it's let's say missandrea.com, for example, that is the domain. It has no www, it has no HTTPS, there's no protocol, there's no nothing. It's just blank. That's why when you connect your Google Search Console, there are two blocks. The one on the left says example.com, then the other one says, I think, HTTPS example.com, something like that. Right. So with domain, when you now go to Google Search Console, you're putting your exact domain, the domain that you bought from GoDaddy, from Namecheap, from Squarespace domains. That's what you insert there. Because once you're going to verify it, they're going to ask you to copy the TXT record. There's also something called a CNAME record, but by default, they give you a TXT record. What that is just it's like a unique identifier. It's like your unique ID that you copy and you paste it into your domain name server. They call it DNS, right? So when you go to the manage DNS section, you're going to see all your records. You add a record. That add record is a TXT record. You see TXT, you see different ones. The list is endless. Then you see TXT. And when you see TXT, you're going to see host and value. In the host section, you can either leave it blank, you can put a www or an @ depending on what is there. In the value section, you paste that link. Once you paste that copy, it now goes directly into that space, right? When you paste that, you now go back to Google Search Console and then you verify the property. You're going to either get a green bar or a red bar. If you get a red bar, it means you either didn't connect it correctly or there's a conflicting address or conflicting, field value or text value that could be changed. But 9 times out of 10, when you're doing it for the first time, there are no errors. So once you connect it, it will turn green and it will say, your property, welcome to your property, something about that, like you're connected to your property. Then it will say go to property. That is your domain, right? And it will say domain property. Now, a URL is a uniform resource locator from the domain. So if my domain is missandrea.com, my URL is missandrea.com/about/contact us /blog/the keywords within that blog. So the URL is the link. When you say, can you send me that link? You're referring to a URL. If you say, what is your website? You're referring to the domain. So the domain controls the URL because without the domain, the URL would not exist because the domain is a source. So that's, I don't know if I explained it well, but I hope that was helpful.
I didn't catch up. I wasn't doing whilst you was talking, but I did get a red mark. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something wrong. But I'm gonna go offline and I'm gonna regroup and I'm going to also check um your notes again, the notes that I've written and plus the video. But it's a good explanation to know that my website is my domain because which I did have. The website is lettersfromandrea.com. But then when I click that link, I get the HTTPS blah 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 blah, which is the URL, right? I get it. So I've understood the way you explained that, which thank you for your time. And then yeah, I'm gonna try and figure it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know, like when you do it by yourself, it can be a little daunting, but whenever we work with clients, that's the first thing we do because we want to make sure everything is connected. So yeah, we'd love to hear from Hidden. I think Hidden is coming too. Hey John, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here with you. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Hope everybody's having a great day.
Thank you for joining. No problem. Really appreciate your time for being here. Hidden, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? How everybody doing this morning? I just say, like local is, that's like my thing in local SEO. So one thing I'm finding out, like A lot of people have to realize people don't search for you exactly. They're not searching for your business exactly. They're searching for the service that you offer exactly. That's how they're searching. So if you want to save months of SEO, you probably would try to get the you will want your domain and your URL kind of to match with the local intent. So say you I think someone was selling perfume or whatever it might be. A lot of people go for um e-commerce on a global scale, but you can actually win locally with your e-commerce business by just putting something like perfume and plus the city location as your domain, and you kind of can jump up in the the SERPs kind of quicker if you got something that's like matched with the local with the location. So it's like even something like let's say Plumber Atlanta or something like that. If you put like uh AtlantaPlumberPros.com, you automatically kind of jump up on the in the search. It's just a little example, but we could go further with that. But that's just something to keep in mind on the local side. Most people don't search for your branded name unless you are actually a big brand. So you have months of trying to climb the rankings by putting your name, because most people don't look for your name; they look for the service.
Exactly. Nah, I appreciate you for bringing that in because like a platform like Pinterest is 97% unbranded or non-branded. So imagine having a 97% non-branded platform where there are close to 500 million people searching on a daily basis, spending at least an hour to 2 hours looking for something they want to purchase, right? Non-branded. So being on those platforms allow you to show up on Google Images. It shows you up on, your Google website, not your Google website, but the website that is ranked on Google, which is your website, because Google is a website too. It's a domain. Google.com is a domain. So we're ranking on that domain because that's where people operate. That's where people connect. So we have to think about those two. And yeah, name your business Brooklyn Plumbing, not Johnny's Plumbing. Exactly. Plumbing. I said plumbing. Plumbing. You have to think about the exact words people are searching for. And the moment you realize that your name is also within those categories, then people will search with their location turned on by default. When people are searching, it's by default on. So if you're right there in the zip code, in the district, in the city, in the state, in the country that people search for that thing, you'll always be the one they'll find because you're able to really give people those connections. And it's not just about having it ranking on Google. You have to also maintain it as well, right? We have to think about where we are putting our content out there. And also, I'll say this too, right? And Derek is here. Shout out to you, Derek. We'd love to hear from you too if you're available. When local businesses start, like, think about this fresh business, they just started, they don't know what to do marketing wise, but they have their admin and everything in check. The operational system is great. Most businesses don't go to the extent of passing past Google because sometimes they may have a website, sometimes they may not. If they have a website, it's probably not connected to the Search Console. If it's not connected to the Search Console, it's not available. If it is connected, it might not be site mapped, indexed. If it's not indexed, it might not be auto indexed. Like there are so many layers to go through this SEO ladder. And where I'm getting to is some businesses don't end up putting themselves on listings like Brown Book, Yellow Pages, Yandex, Yext, Yahoo, Foursquare, Yelp, all these platforms that you need to have access to. Yes, you're on Google, but having strength of having your website as a backlink opportunity within these other high domain authoritative sites gives you that domain leverage and equity when people are looking for you locally. So, Derek, I want to ask you, like, would you tell people that are looking at those business entities and they're trying to figure out how do we navigate that pathway or go down that rabbit hole?
Morning, morning. Loving the conversation. It's my world as well, local SEO, specifically for realtors, but some other business types as well, local type business types. Um, yeah, I love what you're talking about. Website stuff matters a lot for the ranking of your Google business profile, which a lot of people don't realize. Whatever website is connected to your Google business profile um, definitely affects the ranking of your Google business profile. The Google business profile is a quicker, cheaper, and it's free, quicker, cheaper way to rank in a local search. And Google favors their own products and serves up maps results when somebody looks for something local. So it's a no brainer to have that out there, as well as Bing Places, Apple Connect, Yelp, all the different directories and everything, like you said. But no brainer to be on Google, have a Google business profile, optimize the crap out of it. That's a quicker path to showing up when people search it, and then keep working on your website, which is going to further help your Google business profile and also eventually get you in the search results ranking for your actual website. So now you're showing up two places in the local search. Your Google business profile is ranking in the top 3 or 2 or whatever pack they're showing at that given time. You might be in local services ads also. That's another way to show up another time there. And then you got your website showing up as well. So if you get to that point, now somebody searches Brooklyn plumber, you're in the local service, bam, you're there, then you're a website result, and then you're the Google business profile result as well. It's hard to argue with this business being good or not, or who I should call. So super important to be all the different places, like you said, and to keep working on the website. Another reason to have the Google business profile is we all need social proof. You need a place to put that social proof being reviews, testimonials, and there's no better place, in my opinion, to put them than Google. Some industry sites too, like in real estate, you want to have some reviews on Zillow, you want to have some reviews on Rate My Agent, and even on places like Yelp and those places, because that also helps your Google business profile. And maybe you get a call from those platforms as well. But social proof is super important, and people, that's a huge miss thing. Almost everybody, I feel like, they go for 5 years before they start asking for reviews. That should be part of the game plan from day one, the very first customer. And it matters even more at the beginning because you need people to say you're good so more people work with you. But from day one, you should be collecting reviews and testimonials. And I would do that on the Google business profile. But loving the conversation in here. And thanks for having me up.
Just just to piggyback on what Derek's saying about those that first, well, those three areas you can be in. Have to understand how Google's first page is set up. It's set up in three sections. You got they show at the top, of course, is ads. Those are the people that's paying. Then you have the map section, which is or what they call the snack pack is the next section. And then you have the websites at the bottom in the third section. So what Derek's saying is you have a chance to get place yourself in all three sections on that first page if you doing the right things. So it's only 13 spots on that first page. If you can get, you actually can get more than three, but you have to do some, some other things. But just noticing if you could get three instead of having one pole in the water, it increases your chances by having three poles in the water. So it can be a powerful thing. If you can control that first page, you control the whole market for real.
Yeah, and if people aren't hip to the local services ads, you should be hip. They are getting harder now because everybody's catching on to them. But um, some industry, like real estate, people are all over. It's getting tough. But some other industries, nobody even knows about local services ads, and they suck up a lot of clicks. A lot of agencies have switched a lot of budget from search ads. That would be an easy fourth way, actually, to show up in the search results is a regular search ad as well. Um, but a lot of people's budgets have been moving kind of over to local services ads, or at least having them running. If you don't get anything, you don't pay anything. That's the beauty of those. If nobody calls you, you don't get any leads, then you don't pay anything. You don't pay for people just to see your ad or to click on it or whatever. So if any local businesses do not know about local services ads, you've probably been under a rock by now, but you should for sure yesterday be running those because they've sucked up a lot of percentage of the clicks these days.
Shaggy wants to talk.
Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Shaggy. I'm from Islamabad, Pakistan. I have a question for you all. The first question is, I'm working with company called SeniorPlusCity.com. So those guys are, accessing realtors from Google My Business. What I see over there for the last 3 years is I have done like 150 sales, and one sale is equal to $1,000. So in a global economy, I have contributed like 150K sitting in Islamabad. Now, here's the thing. What I have a question. I want to sell that services you are talking about. First is Remax, and Century 21 and Berkshire Hathaway. These guys are on top. Now, this on the second page or third page, those are the realtors. They are self-employed people, realtors. So how can I pitch them to, uh, how can I offer them that service that I can, you know, um, um, give me like 1 second. How can I pitch them like I can offer them on the first page? That's it. Thank you, sir.
Do you have Google Business profiles where you are?
No, actually, I'm selling them as services of seniorpluscities.com. My job is to contact them and offer them my services. On that sale is $1,000.
So, so are you offering SEO services to real estate
Yeah, yes, sir.
companies?
Yes, sir.
So that should be your target, and it should be real estate firms and companies. So be specific to those, to to realtors and real estate companies. So that's what you have to come up with. How you can you don't want to target everybody. You want to target
Uh,
the real estate industry.
yes, for the past 3 years, I've been seeing a lot of people on Google My Business, so that's why.
When you say a lot of people, are you saying they're coming to that particular page to look for that service? Am I understanding that correctly?
So here's the thing: the people on the third page, I want to offer them a service, and SEO services, local business services, and my job is to put them on first page by offering my services.
I can tell you in real estate specifically, it is
Yes, sir.
very hard. Locally, Google is starting to kind of preference local type websites, smaller websites, if they have backlinks and content, blah, blah, blah. But in real estate specifically, there are, as you know, big, huge players, Zillow, Realtor, all the websites, at least 10 of them, that are probably going to crush you almost every time. Again, maybe Google preferences, a couple smaller websites when local searches are done, but it's pretty hard. Doesn't mean you don't want to do it, because again, that local is there, and over time you could possibly start ranking. But it is, yeah. And I am a real estate agent also, 17 years, in addition to doing marketing for real estate agents. So I know what they want, and they want more leads to talk to and not have to do anything for it is essentially what they want. So as simple as you can make it, and the straightest path to me getting leads that I can convert into sales, which is probably similar to a lot of other businesses too. That's basically what they want. So if you can keep it as simple as and non-complicated as possible, quickest path to getting me leads is the best. Because they can just, they could just go right to Zillow and pay them for leads and probably be similar cost. It's a proven system. It definitely works, blah, blah, blah. So, when I talk to people, I say, they come to me for like, let's run some Google ads. And I'm like, hold up, what do you want some Google ads for? Well, you should be running local services ads for sure because those leads are half decent and you don't pay if you don't get anything. So no harm, no foul. But if you want to run other Google ads, that can be expensive and a long time to dial in. And we're still going to probably get the same quote unquote crappy leads that we get by just paying the website. You pay for a HomeSnap whatever company's website and you can click a button on your listings that just says boost this listing, and then they'll go do it through their system on Facebook, Google, wherever, and then the leads will just drop into your CRM, these quote unquote crappy leads. And doing that is possibly cheaper or better or way easier, less headache than coming to me or somebody to create some ad campaign and test it and test the market and all the things you have to do for months and months to really dial in an ad really well. Might be better just to pay Zillow, get your leads, move on with your life. So yeah, keep it as simple as possible. Make sure you can explain it easily to them, and there's a quick path to getting leads. Would be my
Yeah,
Thank you,
my
sir.
advice, I think.
I want to add something. I think Derek brings up a really good point about how complex the steps can get. If it starts feeling more, I have a little general rule. I tend to work with smaller business. I don't work with real estate directly, but I work with smaller businesses. And a lot of times, Derek brings up a terrific point, actually. It's the idea that people kind of get stuck in the process more than they are about what's the purpose of the process. If you run an ad, it's not just I see this all the time where people run their ads like their newspaper ads, and that's really not what a digital ad is supposed to be about at the core. So if it's think I would say think 3 steps in, what is it that the customer is doing to whether you're doing something with SEO or any sort of thing with a process, and just really hone in and ask yourself, if it's more than 3, why are you doing it? And 3 is just it's just kind of an arbitrary number, but it's just the purpose is that people's attention online is so fragmented at a certain point that you don't want to start making a lengthy process to something that doesn't have to be there. I think Derek brought up a good point about thinking about what's producing your leads a little bit. So keep that. I would say keep that in mind. If it feels lengthy, it probably is, and you may be creating something where people will drop out of the funnel because now what you're doing is kind of making them go through 20 hoops to get to the one thing that they are looking for when they probably just really need 1 or 2 just to get some key information and contact you, which is what you want.
I also want to say he's trying to do it at a national or global scale. So that means way more competitors for you. So if you just do a simple search for real estate marketing agency, you got to check out your competition. You got to check out how many, like Favor was saying, you got to see how many backlinks and citations. You got to see how many pages they have. Then that's what you faced against. Like you said, one of those big companies are gonna probably have thousands and thousands of pages. So you have to try to catch up with those thousands and thousands of pages of content that they already have. So it's kind of like you gotta try to figure out some gaps in the market, but you basically going for the whole country on you know real estate as a real estate marketing agency. So that's you got a nice little battle there once you do your research. So like you said, you got to check out those competitors. You got to check out their backlinks and citations. You got to try to get those same backlinks and citations. I mean, you could try to do some parasite stuff like press releases and things of that nature. But you know, it's definitely you definitely got a nice battle on your hands when you're going for real estate marketing in the United States.
Mm, I was
You're not
definitely
going for
Google.
nothing super local. Like if you're not targeting a locale, specifically, or you don't have a list of specific locations that you're going to target, you targeting the whole country. You definitely it's gonna take you a minute.
Great, great, great topic, guys. Thank you so much. And welcome, Langita. Welcome to the room. I was stuck in the goo, guys. I don't know what happened. I was speaking. I was trying to talk to Shaggy. He was not saying anything. So I was like, "What's going on?" So I had to leave the room and come back. Did your question get answered, Shaggy? Because I missed it. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, I'm here. I have listened it and write it on my notebook.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Hey, hey, Favor, this is Pierre. Just real quick, I'm going to probably jump off in the next couple of minutes because I have another Zoom call I got to take. But just want to say thank you for at least having me up here. Always happy to be here.
Anytime, anytime, Pierre. Thank you so much for sharing today. You know, what you shared has helped a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people can benefit from that and also take action from what you said earlier today. So thank you so much for joining the room. Appreciate you. Melissa, thank you for joining today. I gave you a follow back. We'd love to hear about your business, and if you have any questions, please feel free. The floor is yours.
Hey guys, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cause I'm just in a area in my neighborhood where it's known to not have much signal. So I heard someone talking about like reviews and testimonials and things like that. I have been in the restaurant industry, but I don't own a restaurant. I have a meal prep company. So I'm like a former fitness professional turned into a meal preparation company owner. So I've been doing that for the last 6 years. And I've utilized both services as far as like paid Google ads and well, a lot of things, SEO, things like that. Currently, I'm more focused on Facebook ad strategy and utilizing Instagram and Facebook right now to run ads. I'm scaling pretty quickly that way. But I have used Google and ads in the past. I'm still currently utilizing Google in a more organic way. As I'm not sure about real estate per se, but this is both, a testimonial and a question at this in the same sense because I haven't really been focusing on that so much because I've been running ads elsewhere. But in what has helped me to separate myself or at least compete with some of the people in my given area has been a lot of photos and consistently updating my photos and making sure that I'm constantly improving the quality of the photos. And so that's one thing. And then two is the looking at the nearest competitor and big, small, but really like the nearest people and maybe the biggest actually, and seeing how many Google reviews they have, and then trying to work your way up to that. So my nearest competitor is a pretty big company, and they have about uh they don't have that many reviews for this location. They have about 100 reviews. And so my goal in the last couple of years when I was like actively trying to get reviews was to match that. And I've gotten a lot of success by trying to aim towards that amount, however much they have. I tried to get as many reviews as they have. And it actually it brought up my Google ranking naturally, without me having to invest in backlinks and other things involved in SEO on the website side. So that's another way. I have had help with SEO, with marketing companies and things like that I've used, but it just hasn't been a major emphasis. So I wouldn't. But my question is for 2024, has that changed? Is that still a good strategy to help boost your ranking organically in your local area? I haven't done it in a while, but I haven't focused on it in a while, but I feel that it has helped. But also, I ran Google ads in the process, so I probably also capitalized off of that as well. So my question is, do you think that is a good strategy for 2024 and beyond?
Great question. Google Ads. I cringe every time I hear Google Ads because you're spending money within this community that is highly competitive, right? And people are spending a lot of money, and the bids are also on a higher range. So for 2024, 2025, if I'm telling anyone to do advertising, honestly speaking, yes, Google ads are great, YouTube ads are great, Meta ads are great. It depends on where your audience is, because you also have to do that intelligence report and also that finding to know where most of your market share is within the total available market. Now, the next step you want to take is look at, this is what we do for businesses: untapped, problem aware audiences. And the best place to find that is Pinterest. One, you spend less money on Pinterest, you earn more on Pinterest, including getting Google images, responsive. You're able to have long-term data because the lifespan of a pin is 3.5 months. That's about 105 days, right? And people spend about an hour to 2 hours per day on Pinterest. So if you're running ads within Pinterest, because you can also run ads by zip code, then the people that you are targeting, you're going to spend less money and reach a wider audience at a wider spread. Because we've tested this out. Somebody can pay $2.50 on Google for a click. We can spend 30 cents and get the same value. So we've saved more over time because we're focusing on direct hits, and then the retargeting tool for Pinterest is so beautiful because when you retarget your campaign, whether you're uploading your email list or you're retargeting the people that have already connected with you because you have a Pinterest tag on your website, which is like a meta pixel, but they call it Pinterest tag, then you're able to actually get more depth of field and actually reach more people than Google. Because if you skip the Google sponsored ad, that's it. You've skipped it. But if you're on Pinterest and I keep seeing the same beddings, the same furniture, the same product, the same call in, the same call out, the same picture, and if you have like carousels or if you have multiple, ad groups, you can set it up in a good way, find the best performing ad and then, push it out, especially now because we're getting into the holiday season. People are on Pinterest a lot because people are planning. People already knew what Christmas tree they're going to have in 2024 by April 2024 because they use Pinterest. So I can say use all platforms. All platforms are great, but if you want to save money and if you want to invest in high earning demand, earned impressions, Pinterest is the way to go. And of course, podcast is a great way to also leverage that so that people can also hear you, they can talk to you. It's not selling, it's telling. And then the storytelling becomes the selling point for your business if you want to think about considering those costs. So SEO is not just drag and drop. We also handle the CRO, the conversion rate optimization, on how people actually have connections on your heat map. Do you have a heat map on your website? If you don't, how can you get it? If you get it, how can you optimize it for success? So that's what I would say in 2024, 2025, Pinterest and podcast should be your next point of action. Also, let me say this real quick. YouTube and Spotify are gaining market share dominance over Apple Podcasts. Even though Apple Podcasts is great, it's interesting because I was in church on Sunday because we have a podcast for our church. And I was telling one of the kids, because he was one of the ones that was handling the media. And I was like, hey, have you heard about our podcast? He's like, we have a podcast. So I opened his phone. He gave me his iPhone and I tapped in Apple Podcasts. Truth be told, he has never opened that Apple Podcast before. And a lot of people have that. A lot of people have iPhones, right? But a lot of people who have iPhones have not used Apple Podcasts since they bought the phone. So that Apple Podcast will still show a welcome screen, right? And then you now get in there. So imagine the number of people you're accessing that have access to that feature, to that product. So if you're on podcasts, I, companies buy backlinks. I would not purchase a backlink. I would earn it before I buy it. And how do I earn it? By going on a podcast, by putting my link within the anchor text that has a keyword phrase, backlinking to my website. And I can now submit my RSS feed to multiple destinations that allows me to get access to different platforms: iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, Apple, so on and so forth, including YouTube. And that's how I get my backlinks. And then from there, people send me emails, want to be a guest on the show. Before you know it, you're global. So that's how we've built our business, and that's how we've seen tremendous success by just giving and serving and giving people information. So to your question, Melissa, I would say Pinterest and podcast. What are your thoughts? I know it's definitely not what you expected.
No, as far as podcasts and Pinterest, I've definitely, you know, as far as like the wave of the future, those have come across some conversations. I am knee deep into my Facebook ads right now, and it's actually working for me. Of course, this is something that I've paid for. I'm like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into this. But I've been scaling by, we scaled 1 month 50%, doing a solid 10% each month after. So I do have a strategy, and it is working. And I do understand that Pinterest um and podcasts do work. But at the same time, my question for you is Pinterest, like, how detailed is the optimization? Is this something that I can set up? Is this something that I should invest in someone else setting up? Or is it, you know what I mean, something that I set it and forget it? How often do we have to change ad sets? How, you know what I mean? Like, how intricate is Pinterest ads? If it's like on the easier side, like TikTok, you know what I mean, I'm definitely interested. But how intricate is it, or how intricate can you get with Pinterest?
Pinterest is a platform that is a visual search engine. And if you want to do Pinterest correctly, I would say invest in a business that helps you do that. We do that. So I would say please click the link above here and you see the purple option that will say an SEO audit and icebreaker. So I can audit your website, see all the things you're talking about, see what we can find, and then optimize it for better results. Because even the money you're spending on Google, you could end up spending less. And I know you've talked about organic, but imagine you're on Pinterest, YouTube, and Google, and not just Google only. You'd be spending way less to the point where you may not even need to spend on Google again. So that's how it could get to that point. So Pinterest is a very different beast because you have to optimize everything right from your profile. You have to claim your account. You have to put in your tags. You have to create your pixels. You have to, set up shop. It's like a whole storefront, right? So it's not just, oh, set it and forget it. You can set it and forget it, but you can set it to the point where people don't have to do it all the time. Pinterest is a platform that you have to be on. You don't have to post every day, but if you look at your TikTok, look at your Instagram, look at your YouTube, and you find your top performing posts, bring them to Pinterest because Pinterest is a mood board. People are in a positive mood when they're on Pinterest. So that's the first thing. I don't know what moods people are on when they're on other platforms. I think people are serious when they're on LinkedIn, but people are happy on Pinterest. So if you're a happy camper, if you're a happy shopper, then you want to be on Pinterest because anything you do as a business, you may have affiliates from Amazon that you can actually put into your articles, which could be posted on Pinterest. So I wouldn't do Pinterest myself and just say, hey, I'm going to do this thing if you have no clue, because there's a Pinterest advertising element and there's also a Pinterest organic element to it. And we work with staff at Pinterest. So whenever we have you on board, we make sure that your Pinterest account is submitted to them, your ID is connected, and we're able to optimize it further. So Pinterest is great, but it's also a place that you could get lost if you don't know what you're doing correctly. But it's definitely the most underrated platforms in the world that can actually get you your highest return of investments because 47% of the community have a household income of over 100,000 a year. So if you're thinking about where to connect with people, Pinterest is a place to be. But I'll just leave it at that. Does that help, Melissa?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I don't talk much about Pinterest these days, so I will be bringing that back because we're getting into holiday season. So this was great. I'm glad that we had a talk. We had a conversation today. We did SEO for brands yesterday. Now we're talking about SEO for local businesses today. Tomorrow, because we're about to wrap this up. Tomorrow, yeah, I'm going to do SEO for podcasts. That's going to be the next one. SEO for podcasts, how to get discovered, because it's good to be discovered locally, but if you're discovered on a podcast, it's crazy. Like people can really connect with you and listen to you. So SEO for podcast is going to be the room for tomorrow, and then I'll see what else comes on the other days of the week. But I want to keep it a day at a time. So thank you so much. Does anyone want to say anything? David, Miss Andrea, Hidden, Derek, even Melissa, do y'all want to say anything before we go?
Favor, I just want to say a few things. Going back to this gentleman that was speaking earlier, I think was it Shaggy that was talking about real estate, and he wanted to do stuff or rank realtors. I guess that was his business. I'm not directly aligned with real estate. I don't do any real estate, but I just want to drop some some keys here, notes that um, by having a good presence, I was able to get contacted by Redfin, and I was able to get on their, and this is a big corporation, right? This is a big business. Like they were saying, these usually get ranked on top before you'll ever be, if you're a small guy trying to, compete with Zillow or Realtor.com and stuff like that. It's nearly impossible, but you can get into their blogs and stuff like that. And I think that helps a lot. That brings in some of that domain authority into your website and your presence, and also you can get recognized that way. Um, but that's what I want to point out. The other thing also is what you just said. I'm looking forward for tomorrow's podcast, SEO for podcasters. That's something that I'm really interested in listening to. But yeah, that's kind of my couple of things. And then also um, Pinterest, man. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go. Um, I've heard you talk a lot about Pinterest in the past, and I'd like to hear you talk some more about it. It's underrated. Like you said, everyone wants to go to the most obvious, more, the bigger platforms, but I think Pinterest brings a lot to the table. Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Anytime. Thank you, David. Yeah, congratulations too on that big feature, because those are the things that allow your brand to also get that light of day, and people can connect with you because you're associated with the brand. That's just a big mark for you. That's PR in itself without even speaking loud. So it's really good to look at it that way. And when you look at these websites, this is one thing I've learned doing SEO for a decade plus. What I've noticed is that websites that are ranking, that are big, right? Yes, they're big. They have a domain that is huge because they have a huge domain authority. But not every page that is on these big websites are all ranking at a high level. So you need to also discover what are the top pages of these websites that are ranking highly, and then understand what to do to make sure that you can match up. For example, we're building a website for a cooking company, and they do like macarons, they do cooking classes, private classes, for couples. Like, it's really nice. I didn't know it was a thing where even people in Italy, in France, they do cooking, and they actually do virtual cooking classes, and they share their recipes and share food. It's really a cool space to be. So I was doing some research yesterday with a client because we're building her website, and I said, okay, let's do some deep intel research and see who's the top out there that matches your site. Because I'm looking for aesthetics, I'm looking for functionality, I'm looking for UI UX, that's user interaction, user experience. I'm looking for all those things, not just the product. Come to find out, I find this big website, right? And they have chefs and everything. It looks so cool. Come to find out that they're ranking. I mean, it's a cooking show. It's a cooking, not a show, a cooking website where they're able to do like private chefs and all that good stuff, which is cool. Come to find out that their top most visited page is a page talking about the 12 different types of salt. I didn't even know there are 12 different types of salt. I knew there's Himalayan salt. I knew there was table salt. I knew that there was, they call it Celtic salt, something like that. I didn't know there were 12. So that website is ranking because of salt, but they're also using the salt to cook the food. So you see where my point is going at? So you don't have to like advertise the product, advertise what you're associating with the product so that people can find the product that you're associating it with. So that way you can have content marketing, context marketing, and then build from there. So we know, okay, this is a website that does this. So now we know how to build the website from the back end. So those are some literal mental, intricate things that you have to, figure out, that when okay, bingo, this is exactly where we're going, then it's easy for you to take it from there. But if you're just guessing because you want to build a website, because everyone does SEO, because you want to do AI, at some point you're just going to be swept off. So it's really good to have a structure like, Facebook, not Facebook. Yeah, Facebook is it's a listing, but it's not in the one and only. But if you're on Google, YouTube, and Pinterest as a business, that's a triple threat. And then you're on Reddit, you're on TikTok, you're on LinkedIn, you're on all these other good platforms, you will always do well. So this is a platform that I wanted to let you guys know. And I hope you were able to understand something. Cuckoo, thank you so much for that feedback. Appreciate you. And the questions today were really good, really, really good questions. Really appreciate you all for that. And I hope you guys were able to learn something new. Thank you, David, Miss Andrea, Hidden, Derek, Melissa, Bam, Carrie, Eric, Kuku, Reggie, Christian, Zaire, Shah, and Plasma. You are all appreciated. And I really thank you for joining the room today. Tomorrow I'll be here again. So I'll put the schedule ahead of time so that you can schedule your time and be here tomorrow so that we can talk about SEO for podcasters. I'm planning to probably do that room at this time, so 9 a.m. Central. So by this time tomorrow, God willing, we will have that room kicked off so that you guys can be here at your convenience. So thank you all. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your day. Be safe out there. Stay hydrated. And also happy Taco Tuesday.